He stood outside the diner for nearly 5 minutes before opening the door. Not because he was afraid of rejection, but because he was afraid of remembering. The bell above the door chimed softly, the same sound it had made 20 years earlier. The smell of coffee, fried food, and old memories hit him all at once. Everything looked smaller now. The booths, the counter, even the floor tiles that once felt like a world too big for a hungry boy with worn-out shoes. Malik Carter was no longer that boy. His tailored jacket probably cost more than the entire diner made in a week. His watch gleamed under the fluorescent lights. His name had appeared in business magazines. Investors returned his calls. People listened when he spoke. But none of that mattered right now. Because behind the counter stood a woman with strawberry blonde hair pulled into a loose ponytail. A few strands had escaped, framing a familiar face that time had softened but not erased. She looked up. Their eyes almost met. Almost. Malik's heart slammed against his ribs like it was trying to escape. His fingers tightened around the small object in his pocket, folded paper, worn thin at the creases. A promise. A promise made by a starving 11-year-old boy to a girl who fed him when no one else would. "When I'm rich, I'll marry you, I promise." She didn't recognize him, not yet. And maybe that was the hardest part. Because before the success, before the money, before the headlines, there was hunger. There was shame. There was a paper plate holding half a sandwich, fries, and a cup of lemonade, handed to him behind this very diner by a 12-year-old girl who had nothing to gain and everything to lose. One small act, one quiet kindness, and a life that was never the same again. This isn't a love story. Not at first. It's a story about what happens when kindness is given freely and returned with a lifetime of gratitude. Stories like this take days of careful writing and heart to bring to life. If you're still listening, consider subscribing. It truly helps keep stories like this coming. Malik Carter lived on the 42nd floor of a glass tower overlooking the city. From up there, the world looked quiet, controlled, predictable. That was the illusion success gave him. His morning started before sunrise, espresso machine humming, emails already waiting, meetings scheduled weeks in advance. His company, a fast-growing tech startup focused on infrastructure automation, had just closed a 9-figure funding round. People called him inspiring. They didn't see the silence. They didn't see the way he sat alone in the evenings, lights off, city glowing beneath him like a distant galaxy he didn't belong to. They didn't see how he avoided mirrors some days, not out of vanity, but because reflections had a way of asking questions he didn't want to answer. Why doesn't this feel like enough? On his desk sat a framed magazine cover. From Nothing to Nowhere Near Done, Malik Carter's Rise. Behind it, tucked slightly out of view, was something else. A faded napkin. It had a grease stain shaped like a crescent moon. A child's handwriting in blue ink ran across it, uneven and innocent. Lily plus Malik. He'd kept it for over 20 years. Every apartment, every office, every move. People assumed it was sentimental nonsense, a childhood crush, a forgotten joke. They were wrong. That napkin was hunger. It was survival. It was the first time someone had seen him not as a burden or a problem or a statistic, but as a human being worth feeding. Malik touched the edge of it now, thumb brushing the worn paper. That night he canceled dinner with investors, ignored 3 missed calls, put on an old hoodie instead of a designer coat, and walked the city until his feet ached. Because no matter how high he climbed, something inside him stayed stuck behind a diner in Louisiana. Waiting. Malik didn't start searching for Lily right away. At first, it was just memories that found him, uninvited. A certain shade of yellow lemonade, the way sunlight hit a diner window, the sound of a bell over a door. Then came the dreams. In them he was always small again, always hungry, and Lily was always just out of reach, holding a paper plate, calling his name as if he were disappearing. He tried to ignore it, threw himself deeper into work, took meetings overseas, expanded the company, built partnerships, grew numbers. But gratitude doesn't fade just because life gets busy. It sharpens. So he started looking. Quietly. No private investigators, no dramatic posts, just late nights and old town records, archived newspapers, social media profiles that might be her. Lily Thompson. Common name, small town, sparse trail. He found the diner first. Still family-owned, still in business. Reviews talked about warm food and warmer smiles. A place people went when they needed comfort more than cuisine. That felt right. Malik bookmarked the page, closed the laptop, didn't sleep that night. Because this wasn't about romance. Not yet. It was about debt. Not money, he had plenty of that. This was a debt of the soul. Hunger doesn't scream at first. It whispers. Malik remembered that summer like a bruise you don't notice until someone touches it. Louisiana heat clung to everything. The air was thick, heavy, unforgiving. His shirt stuck to his back. His shoes had holes near the toes, soles peeling like tired skin. His mother worked double shifts cleaning offices that never learned her name. Some weeks, food ran out before Friday. Some days, Malik told himself he wasn't hungry because admitting it hurt more than the emptiness itself. He learned how to sit still so dizziness wouldn't show, learned how to smile so teachers wouldn't ask questions, learned how to walk slowly past houses at dinner time, pretending the smells didn't hurt. That day the heat got to him. His vision blurred, knees weak. He sat behind the diner because it was shaded, because dumpsters didn't judge, because he wasn't sure he could make it home. That's when the door opened. Lily hadn't meant to sneak food out that day. She was supposed to be wiping counters. Her father was busy yelling at a supplier. The kitchen was chaos. But she saw him, curled up too still, too quiet. She hesitated. Then she made a choice. Half a sandwich, fries, lemonade. Not leftovers. Fresh. She carried it like it mattered because it did. When Malik looked up, fear flashed first, then confusion, then something close to hope. For you, she said simply. That was it. No lecture, no questions, no conditions. Just food. Just kindness. And a boy who would carry that moment for the rest of his life. The first meal didn't end the hunger. It softened it. And that was the dangerous part. Because once you know kindness exists, the absence of it hurts more. Malik didn't come back the next day. Not because he didn't want to, but because he was afraid. Afraid it had been a mistake. Afraid she'd been punished. Afraid hope had played a trick on him. But on the third afternoon, when the heat pressed down just as hard, he found himself behind the diner again. Sitting, waiting, expecting nothing. The door opened. Lily stepped out, holding 2 cups this time. Hi, she said, like they were already friends. That's how it started. Not every day. Not always food. Sometimes it was just a cookie. Sometimes just lemonade. Sometimes she'd sit with him for a few minutes, swinging her legs and talking about school like he wasn't carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. She never asked why he was hungry. She just noticed that he was. Over weeks, the kindness became routine, and that's when it became costly. Her father noticed supplies running low. Her mother noticed Lily skipping snacks at home. One afternoon, Lily's older brother snapped. You giving food away again? Lily froze. That night voices rose in the Thompson house. Worry, fear, not anger, concern. "We can't save everyone," her father said softly. Lily cried into her pillow. The next day, she still brought the food. Because kindness, when it's real, doesn't disappear when it gets inconvenient. The promise happened on a day that felt too big for children. Malik had overheard his mother whispering on the phone the night before, moving, another city, another fresh start built on uncertainty. He didn't tell Lily at first. They sat behind the diner sharing silence. The cicadas hummed, the sun dipped low. "I might not see you again," he said finally. Lily frowned. "Why?" "We're moving." The word landed heavy. She didn't say, "I'll miss you." She didn't know how yet. Malik reached into his pocket and pulled out the napkin, the one she'd scribbled on weeks earlier while bored. He stared at it like it was something sacred. "When I'm rich," he said, voice shaking, "I'll marry you, I promise." Lily blinked. Then she smiled, not teasing, not dismissive, gentle. "Then you better become rich," she said. "I'll be watching." She folded the napkin carefully and handed it back. "Don't lose it." He never did. Years later, in a city miles away, Lily Thompson poured coffee for a man she didn't recognize. He stood at the counter, distracted on his phone, well-dressed, polite, distant. Their hands almost touched when she passed the cup. "Have a good day," she said. He nodded and walked out. Malik didn't realize what he'd missed until hours later, standing on a sidewalk, struck by a feeling he couldn't name. Something familiar. Something gone. Back in Louisiana, the bell rang. Lily looked up. This time she really looked. "Malik," she whispered. He nodded. The room fell away. "You came back," she said. "I kept my promise." Time collapsed. Only after the tears dried did the truth come out. How Lily had been grounded, how meals had been skipped, how her parents argued quietly so she wouldn't hear. "I didn't tell you," she said. "I didn't want you to stop coming." Malik broke. Because kindness had almost cost her everything, and she'd never asked for repayment. They didn't rush love. They built something better. Together they funded meal programs, quiet ones, no cameras, no names, just food handed without judgment. In 5 years, over 12,000 meals were served. One small act multiplied. Behind the diner, a boy sat alone. Lily stepped outside. "For you," she said. The napkin changed hands. "If you're listening right now, maybe you're Malik. Maybe you're hungry, not just for food but for hope. Or maybe you're Lily, holding something small that could mean everything to someone else. Kindness doesn't need permission. It just needs courage. So I'll ask you this. What do you have today that could change someone tomorrow? Tell me in the comments.